Revenue is recognized when control of the goods and services has been transferred to the customer, and revenue is recognized either at a point in time or over a period of time. With this definition, we can figure out that we have to make two decisions with respect to revenue recognition. That is, first, when to recognize revenue, and then how to recognize revenue. Answer of when to recognize revenue is when control of the goods and services has been transferred to the customer, and control is said to have been transferred to the customer when customer gets the ability to use the asset, or when customer substantially obtains all the benefit of the asset, and ability to use also include customer's ability to prevent others from using the asset. Regarding how revenue is recognized either at a point in time or over a period of time, depending on when control is transferred. If revenue is not recognized over time, then revenue is recognized at a point in time. So we need to first determine if revenue is to be recognized over time, and to do this, we need to evaluate three criteria. 1. Customer receives and consumes the benefit simultaneously. 2. Customer has control on the asset on which you do the work. And 3. You don't have alternative use of the asset, plus you also have enforceable right to payment of the work done to date. Once we have determined that revenue is to be recognized over time, then we need to measure progress towards completion to recognize revenue on the basis of the work done to date. To measure progress towards completion, we can use either of the following two methods: output method or input method. By and large, this is a conceptual framework for revenue recognition, which we shall discuss in detail shortly. This, I think, is a particularly good overview, and I'll take a pause for a few seconds for you to have a look at it before we get into details. Okay, time is up. Upcoming session is going to be a relatively long one, and there will be a lot to take in. So you may want to grab a coffee and come back to resume after the break. Let's look at this diagram again. We will start our journey with when we recognize revenue, and there we will talk about control, and then we will move on to how to recognize revenue, and there we will talk about when revenue is to be recognized over time and when revenue is to be recognized at a point in time. So let's start with the control. Like I said earlier, revenue is recognized when control of the goods and services has been transferred to the customer, and control is said to have been transferred to the customer when customer has got the ability to use the asset, or customer has obtained substantially all the benefit of the asset, and ability to use the asset also includes customer ability to prevent others from using the asset. Asset here means goods and services only. I thought I clarify this so that we may not confuse ourselves this to mean some physical asset all the time. There are 5 key indicators which you should evaluate to determine if control has been transferred, and those indicators are: you have got the right to payment, customer has got the legal title of the asset, customer has got the physical position of the asset, customer has significant risk and rewards of the ownership, and customer has accepted the asset. Please remember, this is only indicator and not criteria. You will need to evaluate each case and make a judgment to determine whether these factors collectively indicate that customer has obtained control, and in your assessment, you should focus primarily from customer's perspective to determine if control has been transferred. I think few examples will be helpful to understand the concept. You sold a power generating unit to A Limited and have delivered this to customer location. However, you have retained the legal title of the asset to protect you in case of non-payment by A Limited. Has control been transferred in this case? Answer is yes. You retaining legal title is merely meant for protecting you in case A Limited fail to make payment. This is not intended to prevent A Limited to use the asset according to its needs. A Limited has got physical position and can use the assets for its own need without restriction. In other words, he has got the ability to use the asset and will also be getting benefit of using the asset, and therefore control of the asset has been transferred and you can recognize revenue. Let us consider another example. You signed a contract with A Limited to deliver 1000 units of jackets of different size and specification. These jackets will bear logo of A Limited, and you will be paid after A Limited has accepted that units delivered meet the agreed upon specification. You manufacture such jackets on a regular basis, and a history of previous deliveries of similar nature suggests that a rate of acceptance by the customer is extremely high. When will control be transferred in this case? Control will be said to have been transferred when jackets have been delivered, despite the fact that payment will be made only after A Limited has accepted the delivered units and confirmed that they meet the agreed upon specifications. In this particular case, customer acceptance appears to be a mere formality rather than having any substance because you have been manufacturing such jackets on a regular basis, and history of previous deliveries do suggest that rate of acceptance by the customer is extremely high, and therefore concluding that control will be transferred once jackets have been delivered will be appropriate. On the other hand, if specification requested by the customer are kind of unique which you haven't done in the past, that means there is no history to determine likelihood of customer acceptance. This will change entire evaluation, meaning control will be transferred only when A Limited has formally accepted the delivered units, confirming that they meet required specifications. Because until this is confirmed, you cannot possibly determine if A Limited has got the ability to use the asset or has obtained the benefit from the asset. Bottom line is, when customer acceptance is subject to a subjective assessment, then customer acceptance is unlikely to be just a formality, and hence control will be transferred only after customer has formally accepted the asset. Whereas if customer acceptance is subject to an objective assessment, then customer acceptance is likely to be just a formality. Careful analysis of the contractual terms will be needed to determine if customer acceptance criteria is just a formality or restrictive in nature. Before we move on to how, please do remember revenue is recognized after control has been transferred to the customer. Regarding how to recognize revenue, revenue is recognized either at a point in time or over a period of time, depending on when control is transferred. If revenue is not recognized over time, then revenue is recognized at a point in time. So, we need to first determine if revenue is to be recognized over time, and to do this, we need to evaluate three criteria. 1. Customer receives and consumes the benefit simultaneously, or 2. Customer has control on the asset on which you do the work, and 3. You don't have any alternative use of the asset, plus you also have enforceable right to payment of the work done to date. Let us take some examples to understand as to how we will do evaluation on these three criteria. Cleaning Limited signs a contract with Hotel Limited to perform cleaning services at the hotel premises. Price agreed for 3 years of service is $36,000. Question is, when should Cleaning Limited recognize revenue, over time or at a point in time? In this case, it is pretty obvious that services are performed over time, and Hotel Limited receives and consumes the services at the same time, that is, as cleaning services are performed. Therefore, Cleaning Limited should recognize revenue over time. To be precise, revenue to be recognized each year is $12,000 or $1,000 per month. Typically, in most service contracts, for example, security services, payroll processing services, accounting services, performance obligations are satisfied over time, and this is usually pretty obvious by the nature of the very service itself. Let us take another example to illustrate a situation where it is not obvious if performance obligations are satisfied over time or at a point in time. Ocean Limited, a shipping company, signs a contract with High Rise Limited, a construction company, to ship blocks of steel from China to USA. Price agreed to be paid for transferring the shipment is $100,000. Question is, when should Ocean Limited recognize revenue, over time or at a point in time? Ocean Limited should recognize revenue over time because customer in this case receives the benefit as the goods move from China on its way to the USA. Say shipment started on December 25th and on December 31st shipment has reached Singapore. Total distance to be covered from China to USA is 12,000 miles and distance from China to Singapore is 2,400 miles. On December 31st, Ocean Limited has performed 20% of the service, that is 2,400 miles covered to date divided by the total distance to be covered, and therefore 20% revenue should be recognized for the period ending December 31st. So revenue recognized up to December 31st is $20,000. That is 100,000 times 20%. Now, assume hypothetically that after shipment has arrived Singapore, Ocean Limited has expressed its inability to transport the shipment from Singapore to USA. What will you do? You will try to find another shipper who can transport the shipment from Singapore to USA. And this is exactly what High Rise Limited is also going to do. Purely from the point of view of shipping the goods to USA, other shippers don't need to do major rework, meaning they don't need to take the goods back to China and then send it back to USA. Rather, what will most likely be done? Goods will be shipped from Singapore to USA. There may be a practical limitation to take over that shipment for the remaining distance by another entity from the Ocean Limited, but for the purposes of this assessment, such limitations or constraints are disregarded altogether. What I'm trying to say here is, if vendor has performed only part of the obligation and you have to find another vendor to perform the remaining obligation, then ask, will other vendor have to do major rework to perform the remaining obligation? If yes, then benefit is not consumed and received simultaneously. But if no, then benefit is consumed and received simultaneously. And while doing this evaluation, any practical limitation or constraints to find another vendor who will perform the remaining obligations are disregarded altogether. In a nutshell, to evaluate if customers consumes and it receives the benefit simultaneously, ask, is it obvious that benefits are consumed and received simultaneously? If yes, then very likely customer consumes and receives the benefit simultaneously and performance obligations are satisfied over time. But if not, then ask, what will happen if another vendor has to perform part of the performance obligation? Will other vendor have to do major rework to perform the remaining obligation? If yes, then benefit is not consumed and received simultaneously. But if no, then benefit is consumed and received simultaneously and performance obligation is satisfied over time. Let us take some examples where revenue is recognized over time if customer has either control on asset or control work in progress. We will again start with example and will then codify the concept. You signed a contract with A Limited to construct office premises on the land owned by A Limited. Price agreed for construction work is $500,000. Question is, who controls the asset that is being created? In this case, land is owned by A Limited. So whatever you construct on this will be controlled by A Limited. Say, you have finished construction of foundation and basement. Foundation and basement cannot be separated from land. So A Limited will usually have control of the completed foundation and basement because he owns the land on which this has been constructed. Let's take another example. You signed a contract with B Limited to develop an online billing solution for their business. All program codes will be stored on B Limited secure server to which you will have restricted access, and that only for the purpose of developing online billing solution. Price agreed is $1 million. Question is, who controls the asset that is being created? In this case, all program codes written will be stored on B Limited secure server to which you have got restricted access only for the purpose of developing online billing solution. In other words, asset created by program codes written by you will be controlled by B Limited because it is stored in their secure server. Key idea for this assessment is you need to make a judgment as to who control the asset while you perform the work, or in other words, who control the work in progress. To determine who has control, you need to apply principle of control. That is, you have got the right to payment, customer has got the legal title of the asset, customer has got the physical position of the asset, customer has got significant risk and rewards of the ownership, and customer has accepted the asset. Again, these are only indicators and not criteria. So you need to make a judgment with the help of these indicators if customer controls the work in progress. Once you have determined that customer controls the work in progress, then you should conclude on that basis that performance obligation is satisfied over time and revenue will be recognized over time. With respect to revenue recognition over time, we are done with the case where customer receives and consumes the benefit simultaneously and where customer controls the assets or work in progress. And now we'll talk about where vendor has no alternative use of the asset and has enforceable right to payment. Alternative use means if you can redirect use of the asset for another purpose or to another customer without incurring significant rework cost or not by selling at significant loss. This means you will not have alternative use of the asset if you could redirect use of the asset only by incurring significant cost to rework or selling at significant loss. Lack of alternative use could be there because of either contractual restrictions, practical limitation, or other reasons. You should determine at contract inception itself if asset will have an alternative use. Right to payment of the work done to date means you should receive proportionate amount of the agreed transaction price based on the obligation performed to date. Enforceable right to payment means you have enforceable right to payment of the work done to date except for the reason of breach of the contract or for non-performance, and you have this right at all time during the contract terms. Enforceability may arise either from contractual terms or from applicable laws. Let us take some examples to see how you will do evaluation to determine if there is no alternative use of the asset and right to payment of the work done to date is enforceable, and accordingly deciding if revenue is to be recognized over time or at a point in time. Jet Inc., an aircraft manufacturing company, contracts with Flight Inc., a commercial aircraft operator, to deliver 10 units of aircraft per agreed upon specification that includes significant branding of the Flight Inc. inside and outside of the aircraft. Flight Inc. will also compensate Jet Inc. in case it cancels the contract except for breach or non-performance. Amount of compensation will be equal to proportionate amount of the agreed transaction price of the work done to date. An agreed price in this case is 20 million. Question is, when will Jet Inc. recognize revenue? Let us first get the facts beforehand. Aircraft is to be manufactured as per agreed upon specification that includes significant branding of Flight Inc. inside and outside of the aircraft. Flight Inc. will compensate Jet Inc. in case it cancels the contract except for breach or non-performance, and amount of compensation will be equal to proportionate amount of the agreed transaction price for the work done to date. Apart from manufacturing aircraft per agreed upon specification, Flight Inc. branding inside and outside in the aircraft may mean that there will be no alternative use of the asset unless significant cost is incurred. Flight Inc. will also compensate Jet Inc. in case it cancels the contract except for breach or non-performance, and amount of compensation will be equal to proportionate amount of the agreed transaction price for the work done to date. Assuming here right to compensation is enforceable, we can conclude that revenue will be recognized over time because Jet Inc. don't have alternative use of the asset and Jet Inc. will be compensated with proportionate amount of their agreed transaction price for the work done to date. In the above example, assume that compensation amount will only be equal to the cost incurred. How will revenue be recognized in this case? Regardless of the fact that there is no alternative use of the asset and Jet Inc. is entitled to compensation in case of contract cancellation, revenue in this case will be recognized at a point in time because compensation allows Jet Inc. to recover only cost and not any reasonable profit margin. In other words, compensation amount should reflect a reasonable proportion of the agreed transaction price for the work done to date and not just allow for cost recovery. However, if the contract itself is priced at a cost or below cost, then compensation that allow for only cost recovery or even an amount that is less than the cost will be good enough to conclude that revenue will be recognized over time, provided this reflects a reasonable proportion of the agreed transaction price. In this example, assume that the aircraft agreed to be delivered under the contract are standard aircraft with a few customer-specific features which, if need undoing, in order to sell the aircraft to another customer or to put to another use, can be done without incurring significant cost of rework. So, revenue in this case will be recognized at a point in time simply because Jet Inc. has got alternative use of the asset and also other conditions to recognize revenue over time don't seem to have been met. That is, customer receive and consume the benefit simultaneously and customer has control on work in progress. On January 1st, 20X1, Power Inc. enters into a contract with Light Inc. to manufacture a specialized machinery. Price agreed for the machinery is 10 million and Light Inc. will pay Power Inc. as per the following payment schedule. On January 1st, 20X1, 1 million. On March 31st, 20X1, 2 million. On December 31st, 20X1, 2 million. On March 31st, 20X2, 3 million. And on June 30th, 20X2, 2 million. Payment made are not refundable except for breach of contract or failure to deliver the completed machine. Power Inc. estimates suggest that scheduled payment is a reasonable proportion of the agreed transaction price for the work completed by that date. Power Inc. also do not have an alternative use of this machine. Question is, when will Power Inc. recognize revenue? Power Inc. should recognize revenue over time because Power Inc. has no alternative use of the machine, and scheduled payment is an appropriate proportion of the agreed transaction price for the work completed by that date, meaning this is not just recovery of cost, rather compensation is inclusive of a reasonable profit margin. Payments are not refundable except for breach of contract or failure to deliver a completed machine. This payment is enforced by the contractual terms itself. And these facts together conclude that Power Inc. has no alternative use of the asset and do have enforceable right to payment, and therefore revenue must be recognized over time. In summary, revenue will be recognized over time if any of the following criteria is met. Customer receives and consumes the benefit simultaneously. Customer has control on the asset on which you do the work, and you don't have alternative use of the asset, plus you also have enforceable right to payment of the work done to date. If none of these criteria is met, revenue will be recognized at a point in time. Before I move further, I just want to caution you about one thing. In actual contracts, evaluating and concluding that these criteria have been met will not be a straightforward process. Rather, you will need to do a thorough review of the contract, interpret the terms carefully, and then determine if the terms agreed meet these criteria. This takes some practice to interpret contractual terms to fit into this terminology, and with practice, I'm sure you can find easier and quicker way to do this. Once you have concluded that performance obligation is satisfied over time, you must now measure its progress towards completion to determine the timing of revenue recognition. Objective of measuring progress towards completion is to recognize revenue in a pattern that reflects the transfer of control of the promised goods or service to the customer. To measure progress towards completion, you can use either of the following two methods: output method or input method. Output method recognizes revenue based on direct measurement of the value delivered to the customer. Input method recognizes revenue based on entity's effort to satisfy the performance obligation. One of the most common input method used is called cost-to-cost method. This measures progress towards completion based on cost incurred to date relative to total estimated cost to complete. While you use input method, you must ensure that you exclude those costs which do not result in transfer of control of goods or service to a customer, for example, setup cost, etc. Each of these methods have its own advantages and disadvantages, and you should evaluate them and determine which one is most appropriate in a particular arrangement. Method selected for measuring progress towards completion should be consistently applied to arrangements with similar performance obligations and in similar circumstances, meaning you have no accounting policy choice here. Rather, you should evaluate each contract or performance obligation and measure progress towards completion in the same way as you have done for similar arrangement in the past. Or if you encounter a new scenario, then determine most appropriate method and apply them consistently going forward. Once you have decided on most appropriate method and you can make a reasonable estimate, then recognize revenue based on work done to date. Or if you are not able to make a reasonable estimate, then you should recognize revenue only to the extent of the cost incurred and do catch-up adjustment later on once you can make a reasonable estimate, provided you have right in the contract to fully recover your costs. Output method is possibly most reliable method of progress as to the value delivered to the customer. However, at times, this could be quite difficult as well as expensive to collect all the information needed to measure progress, and in those circumstances, use of input method may simply be necessary. Okay, so now is the time for some examples to refine our understanding. So let us move on. On January 1, 20X1, Track Build Company signs a contract with the rail company to replace rail track on a stretch of 100 miles, and price agreed for this is 10 million. Land on which rail track is to be built is owned by rail company, and all work in progress will be property of rail company. By the end of December 31st, 20X1, Track Build Company has completed laying 10 miles of track, and by the end of December 31st, 20X2, Track Build has completed 35 miles of track. Question is, how much revenue should be recognized by Track Build Company for the period ended December 31st, 20X1, and December 31st, 20x2. In this case, track build company will recognize revenue over time because track is being built on land owned by rail company, which is customer, and a rail company also has control on work in progress, that is track completed as work progresses. Regarding measuring progress, output method based on the miles of track built appears to be the most appropriate because miles of tracks built depicts the real value delivered to the customer. So percentage of work completed is as follows. By December 31st, 20x1 is 10%, that is 10 miles out of 100 miles. And by December 31st, 20x2, 35%, that is 35 miles out of 100 miles. And revenue to be recognized for the period ended December 31st, 20x1 is 1 million, which is 10% of the 10 million transaction price, and for the period ended December 31st, 20x2 is 2.5 million, which is 35% of 10 million transaction price less 1 million revenue already recognized. On January 1, 20x1, Build Limited signs a contract with Airport Limited to construct an airport on the land owned by Airport Limited. All work in progress will be owned by Airport Limited. Agreed price is 100 million and construction will be completed over a 3-year period. And estimated cost to complete airport is $80 million. Cost incurred by end of December 20x1 is as follows. Material 40 million, and of this material worth 25 million is for future use and is held in inventory. Labor 5 million, direct overheads 2 million, and cost of wasted material 0.2 million. Question is, how much revenue should be recognized by Build Limited for the period ended December 31st, 20x1? In this case, land is owned by Airport Limited and Airport Limited will also own the work in progress. Therefore, this is very much obvious that performance obligation is satisfied over time. Since performance obligation is satisfied over time, so to recognize revenue, we need to measure progress towards completion. Assume after due evaluation, you have determined that input method is the most appropriate method to measure progress towards completion. We need to work out the cost that's been incurred in satisfying performance obligation. Please note that you should not include any cost in measuring progress towards completion which do not result in transfer of control of good or service to the customer. In this case, such costs are material held in inventory, which is 25 million, and cost of wasted material 0.2 million. Though this can be included if agreed in the contract, but for want of any information we are assuming that this has not been agreed. So cost incurred to date is material 14.8 million. This is 40 million material less 25 million of material held in inventory less 0.2 million of cost of wasted material. Labor 5 million and direct overhead 2 million. Thus, total cost incurred by the end of December 20x1 is 21.8 million towards completion of the performance obligation, and this equates to 27.2% of work completed to date. And this is the percentage of the cost incurred to date, that is 21.8 million, to the total estimated cost of completion, that is 80 million. So revenue to be recognized for the period ended December 31st, 20x1 is 27.2 million. This is total contract price, that is 100 million multiplied by percentage of the work completed to date, that is 27.2%. On January 1, 20x1, a repair company signed a contract with Superstore company to provide computer maintenance services over a 2-year period for an agreed price of $24,000. Such services are provided evenly throughout the year, and agreed payment schedule is as follows. On June 30th, 20x1 is $4,000. On December 31st, 20x1 is $8,000. On June 30th, 20x2 is $5,000. And finally, on December 31st, 20x2 is $7,000. On October 1st, 20x2, Superstore company declared bankruptcy, and by this time, repair company had recognized revenue of $21,000 and had received payment of $17,000 so far. Repair company assessment suggests that a likelihood of recovery from Superstore company of any remaining balance is remote. However, repair company continued providing services until December 31st, 20x2. Question is, how much revenue should repair company recognize for the year ended December 31st, 20x2? And will there be any bad debts provision? On October 1st, 20x2, Superstore company declared bankruptcy, which would significantly impact their ability to pay. Moreover, repair company assessment also suggests that likelihood of recovering outstanding balance is remote. Therefore, a repair company will not recognize revenue for the services provided from the date Superstore company ability to pay deteriorated significantly, that is October 31st onwards, for any unpaid balance. This means revenue will be recognized for services performed till this September 30th, 20x2, and no revenue will be recognized for the services performed from October 1st to December 31st, 20x2. So, revenue of 3,000 pertaining to services for the period October to December 31st, 20x2 will not be recognized until Super Store companies pays this. And of the 21,000 revenue recognized till September 30th, 20x2, only 17,000 has been paid for. Therefore, bad debts provision for the unpaid balance of 5,000 will also be created. This may eventually have to be written off altogether once this is finally concluded that this is no longer recoverable. Shoe company signed a contract with retail companies to sell 50,000 pair of shoes over the next 2 years at $100 each. Shoe company also agreed to pay $1 million to retail company to create a separate section in their retail stores to display shoe company shoes. Shoe company will not acquire any right in separate section which retail company will create in its store from the $1 million funding. 30,000 shoes were sold during the first year. How much revenue will shoe company recognize from the sale of 30,000 shoes in the year 1? $1 million paid by shoe company to retail company to create separate section in their retail stores to display shoes of shoe company is not towards the purchase of distinct goods and services. Rather, this is to meet the cost of promoting its own products, and therefore sum of $1 million paid will be reduced from the transaction price. Revenue to be recognized from the sale of 30,000 shoes in the first year will be $2.4 million, and this is made up of $3 million from the sale of 30,000 shoes at $100 each, less reduction of consideration paid to customer at $20 each allocated to 30,000 shoes sold, and $0.4 million, that is $1 million funding less $0.6 million applied towards the sale, that is balance of consideration, will be held as an asset and will be reduced from revenue as and when remaining 20,000 shoes are sold. Okay, now is the time to wrap it up. In order to recognize revenue, you need to determine when to recognize revenue and how to recognize revenue. Regarding when to recognize revenue, revenue is recognized when control of the goods and services has been transferred to the customer, and control is said to have been transferred when customer has got the ability to use the asset, or customer has obtained substantially all the benefit of the asset, and ability to use also include customer ability to prevent others from using the asset. Regarding how to recognize revenue, revenue is recognized either over time or at a point in time. If revenue is not recognized over time, then revenue is recognized at a point in time. Therefore, you need to first decide if revenue is to be recognized over time or not. And to determine if revenue is to be recognized over time, you need to evaluate 3 criteria. That is, customer receives and consumes the benefit simultaneously, or customer has control on asset or work in progress, or you have got no alternative use of the asset, plus you have got enforceable right to payment. Once you have decided after evaluating these 3 criteria that revenue is to be recognized over time, then to recognize revenue over time, you need to measure progress towards completion, and to measure progress towards completion, you can use either of the 2 methods, output method or input method. Output method measures progress towards completion based on the value delivered to the customer, whereas input method measures progress towards completion based on the entity's effort. One of the most common input method used is cost to cost method, in which progress to date is equal to the percentage of the cost incurred to date to the total estimated cost of completion. You should evaluate each contract to determine which method is most appropriate to measure progress towards completion, and apply them consistently in similar contracts or a similar arrangement. There is no accounting policy choice here. We have finally come to the end, and this concludes part 6 of this 7 video series. I initially thought of covering following topics in this video itself, but doing this would have made this video quite lengthy, and that's not good. But don't worry, I'll be doing a separate video to explain these special situations. Thank you.